Welcome to Learning English with Captain Binoy Varadil, Assistant Professor, Department of English, St. Joseph's College, Devgiri, Calicut, Kerala. I hope you learn English very well. Now we have completed almost 50 plus lectures on English language and English grammar and the usage of English. So now we move forward to further discussion of the English language, and we discuss English grammar and usage. These lectures are based on the very prescribed course book for the third semester BA English main students of the University of Calicut. And we are beginning the lecture on the second section of the course book. And the second section is titled Identifying Grammatical Labels and Functional Labels of Words. So this lecture will help us to understand everything about each and every word in the English language. And we have to look at each of the words, phrases and clauses and sentences we come across, and we have to find out grammatical label and functional label of the words. We know that we have thousands of words in the language. Every language we have. Similarly, in English language we have thousands of words, and each of these words can be classified under different category. And we are going to, this lecture we are going to look at a sentence, and we are going to find out each of the words of that sentence, and we are going to attribute grammatical label and functional labels to each of these words. Before beginning the very task, let us understand what we mean by labels of words. We are learning the elements of grammar that can be considered the foundation of the English language. There are so many words in the English language, right? And we are going to give labels to each of these words. And we have to understand form and function, because the labeling process of the words of the English language is based on two things. One is of course form, and the other is function. Form refers to the very appearance of each of the words. Maybe each of the words we have in a sentence, maybe we have it in a phrase or a clause, or we see these words as words themselves, right? Anyway, we have to look at the words, phrases, clauses and sentences, and based on the very form of the words, we have to give them labels, we have to name them, we have to say what is what. And we can give labels based on form and function, and giving labels based on the form can be what is called grammatical label, and attributing labels based on the function is what we mean by functional label. First part of this lecture, we are looking at a sentence, and we are going to scan the sentence. Rather, we are going to analyze the sentence in detail, and we have to interpret, or we have to label each of these words in this particular sentence based on the form, based on the appearance, based on how these words look in a sentence. Let us look at the sentence on the board. We have the sentence, my son bought a remarkably new smartphone over the summer. It is rather a long sentence. Let's understand the meaning of the sentence. It's easy to understand. My son bought a remarkably new smartphone over the summer. Over the summer refers to, okay, during the summer period, during the summer, like different seasons, summer season, right? My son bought a remarkably new smartphone over the summer. We are going to scan the sentence. We are going to analyze the sentence, and this process, what we do is we're going to give labels to each of the words. My son bought a remarkably new smartphone. Smartphone together, single word. A compound word, smartphone. Smart plus phone is smartphone. A phone which is smart, right? So, over the summer. And now we are going to look at each of these words and we are going to analyze what they are. We are going to give them grammatical labels. Grammatical labels are labels based on the form. Okay, now let's just scan the sentence. Let's look at each of the 10 elements of the sentence and let us just label them. So we have, my son bought a remarkably new smartphone over the summer. Let's look at each of them. My is a determiner. What's a determiner? A determiner is a word or a phrase or a suffix or an affix which goes along with, of course, a noun in a noun phrase. So those elements in noun phrases are known as determiners. And what are noun phrases? Noun phrases are simple and easy to understand. A noun and one or two words together with the noun is a noun phrase. So determiners are small words or phrases or affixes or a suffix or an affix that goes with a noun, right? So my is a determiner, son is a noun, bought is a verb, a is again a determiner because a remarkably new smartphone, a is part of the smartphone, a smartphone, right? A is again determiner, remarkably is adverb, remarkably, and new is adjective. So remarkably the adverb is modifying new. So remarkably the adverb is used to modify new the adjective. Smartphone noun, and over preposition is preposition, and the is determiner again. Summer noun. So this way we are scanning a sentence and we are looking at the very labels of the words in a sentence, and this process is what is known as, of course, right, scanning. We are scanning a sentence from left to right, and by scanning a sentence from left to right based on the very form, we can of course find out what this sentence is made or of, right? And we know that of course we have grammatical labels, right? So all these words are grammatically something, and we just found that they are, my is determiner, son is noun, bought is verb, a is again determiner, remarkably is adverb, new is adjective, smartphone noun, over preposition, the determiner, summer noun. So this is what is scanning or labeling the words of a sentence based on the very form or appearance, right? Now these sentences can be further understood based on the form and structure. Okay, so we can see that this particular sentence, my son bought a remarkably new smartphone over the summer, can be further divided into different sections based on the noun phrase. Okay, so all the word class labels above are referred to as grammatical form labels. We can also describe them, of course, in a different way, and we can say that my son, all right, my son, what is a noun? My son is a noun phrase, all right. Similarly, we can say that a remarkably new smartphone, another noun phrase, a remarkably new smartphone. And we can again say that over the summer is a preposition phrase. Now we are just going to look at each of these in detail and understand the very structure of noun phrases. Okay, so the terms noun phrases, preposition phrases, etc. are also grammatical form labels. Alright, and now we have to understand the structure of noun phrases and preposition phrases. Anyway, we can just conclude it this way, that every sentence has, of course, a number of words in them or in it. A sentence has different words in it, and based on the form we can label each of the words, and that is known as grammatical label. Alright, based on the form, based on the appearance, we label the words, and it is known as grammatical label. And now, based on that is, of course, so we are just looking at each and every element. Now we can just go further into labeling the sentence, and we can say that we have word class labels, alright, which can also be called grammatical form labels. And we say that my son is a noun phrase. Similarly, a remarkably new smartphone is again another noun phrase, and over the summer is, of course, another preposition phrase. And now we have to, of course, understand the structure of noun phrase. Okay, now we looked at the sentence, my son bought a remarkably new smartphone over the summer, and we looked at the words, and we said that the words, of course, can be given different labels, and we gave them different labels, and we know that all that is, of course, grammatical labels, right? We gave the 10 words of the sentence grammatical labels, like determiner, noun, verb, determiner, adverb, adjective, noun, preposition, determiner, noun, likewise. Okay, so my son bought a remarkably new smartphone over the summer. So likewise, words being called grammatical labels, we can also call the phrases. And we say that we have, of course, noun phrases and preposition phrases and adverbial phrases, of course, in sentence. And now in this sentence we have a noun phrase. We have two noun phrases. One of the noun phrases is my son. Okay, my son is a noun phrase. A noun along with another word, another one or word is known as noun phrase, right? So this is one of the noun phrases. Then another noun phrase is a remarkably new smartphone is again another noun phrase. And we have, of course, a preposition phrase like over the summer. So we can say that, okay, in a sentence we have words, and these words can be called, each of the words can be given grammatical labels, and we have, of course, phrases, and each of the phrases can also be given grammatical labels. And now we are looking at the noun phrase, and we are looking at the very structure of noun phrase. So we know that when we are talking about form, we are talking about structure. Okay, and we can just visualize the structure in this particular way. So a noun phrase, that is, of course, a remarkably new smartphone. This particular phrase, a remarkably new smartphone, has form. The form is, of course, right, a remarkably new smartphone, and it has structure, and we are looking at the structure. What is the structure? It's a noun phrase, and this particular noun phrase is having structure of 3 layers. Layer number 1, number 2, and number 3. And we can say that this noun phrase is made of determiner, adjective phrase, and noun. Determiner is A, Adjective phrase is made of adverb and adjective, and that is remarkably new. And the very noun, which is the head word, is of course smartphone. So smartphone is being modified by new, remarkably, and a remarkably new smartphone. So smartphone is just preceded by new, remarkably, a. So this is in fact the structure of this particular noun phrase. This noun phrase, a remarkably new smartphone, is having a determiner in it, an adjective phrase in it, and a noun in it. And the determiner is a. The adjective phrase is again having two words. One is the adverb, that is remarkably. The other is the adjective, that is new. And of course the next element of the noun phrase is the very noun, the smartphone. So we understand sentences this way, and we know that we can give of course labels to each of the words, and those words of course which are determiners, nouns, adverbs, adjectives, etc. are of course part of the sentence, and they are grammatical labels. Similarly, we are also giving names to the phrases in a particular sentence, and we can say that any sentence is having noun phrases. Okay, similarly preposition phrases, similarly adverbial phrases, and we can look at the structure. All right, so now we know what grammatical labels are. Grammatical labels are labeling words and phrases of a sentence based on the very name of the word. And we say that a sentence is of course having different words. Each of the words have, based on its form, grammatical labels. And similarly, there are different phrases in a sentence, and based on the form of the phrase, we have of course noun phrases and preposition phrases and adverbial phrases, and we just give names to them. We can see that based on the structure, they have of course different forms, and this way we have to of course understand and illustrate or analyze the structure of phrases as well. Okay, so with this we can just summarize or rather conclude. We have of course numerous words in every language, and all these words have of course certain labels based on the form, like determiner, noun, adverb, and of course we say that these phrases in the sentence have of course a structure, and the structure can be easily understood with this kind of graphs. Okay, so with this we conclude today's lecture, and in the next lecture we'll be looking at functional labels of words. Functional labels of words. So grammatical label refers to the very name of the words in a sentence based on the appearance, the visibility, and functional label we are discussing in the next lecture. That is of course describing the words of a sentence based on the function they discharge. Thank you very much for listening. May God bless you.